Hello everybody, hope you're all doing well. My name is Steven and this is the Storytime channel. We've got some great malicious compliance stories today, so let's get into our first one of the day by fionasapphire. You want to take my security deposit? Perhaps you should read your own contract. A few years ago, I was looking for a place to live and I came across an interesting advertisement looking for property guardians. The idea behind property guardians is that disused buildings are far more secure if they are occupied. So owners of empty properties will allow people to live there temporarily for incredibly cheap price. So the guardian gets to live in a usually quite interesting, disused building incredibly cheaply. The owner makes a small additional bit of income and has someone keeping their eye on the place. This arrangement is usually done through a third-party guardian company who acts as the intermediary. This particular advert was for a pub that had recently closed. My interest piqued, so I went along to a viewing. The space was huge and they were only asking for a few £100, all bills included, so I went for it, along with a group of other people. We all picked our rooms. I got the bar area, a huge room with an ensuite, ladies and gents toilets, a big fireplace, and cozy pub decor. We also had full use of the sizable pub kitchen, beer cellar, dishwashing room, double garage, car park, and a massive garden with a barbecue area. For the most part, it was a great gig. I got to live in a pub, have all the space I wanted, and as the building was due to be destroyed, we could pretty much do what we liked with the internals. I put up curtains and temporary walls and made it my cozy home for the next couple of years. Other guardians moved in and out over the months, but myself and a couple of others were there for the long term. Aside from the odd, dodgy person coming and going, I had 2 of my tires slashed at one point, but that's another story. All was pretty cushy. The owner of the guardian company, and thus the person I paid my rent to, was a large, red-faced man who was quite full of himself. He tended to be quite bossy and sometimes aggressive, but I stayed out of his way. As long as I paid my rent and didn't cause him trouble, he left me alone. All until the end of the tenancy. I had moved out, returned my keys, and was awaiting the return of my security deposit. At some point, a car had been dumped on the property. I hadn't noticed, because one of the previous guardians, who I will call Rob, had pushed it around to the back of the property and had been working on it. I just assumed it was his car. The first of the emails from the guardian company read, "The Volvo dumped in the car park was not reported to us and must be removed from the site. Rob has declined to take responsibility of the vehicle and has alleged it was reported to the police, and yet none of you have reported to us on such a serious issue. I would suggest that it be placed on the public highway and then the police will deal with whomever owns the vehicle." Wait, did you just incite us to commit fly tipping? I emailed back and said the car wasn't my responsibility and thus I won't be moving it. Things went back and forth like this for a while, with the owner insisting that we were all responsible. Emphasis here means it's important later. Stop arguing as I don't care, and if it's not gone, you will all be accountable to the issue. Rob was contacted and has said it's not his, and now the burden falls on all of you that knew about the car and failed to report it. At this point, I mentioned small claims court as an idle threat to see what would happen. You have failed to report an incident that is something that is detrimental to the property. You are in breach of the license for failing to do so. Happy to see you in court and explaining that you were put into the building to act as security by occupation, and while there, you failed to report a dumped car. Right, it's on. I pulled out the contract and went back over it with a fine-toothed comb. At this point, another email came through. Dear all, please be aware that you were all under license at the property and not tenants and had no tenancy rights, as is clearly stated in the license that you all agreed to and signed. Under the license, you act as security for the property, and were responsible for reporting any incidents, and were also responsible for keeping the property safe, secure, and as stated as any items left will be charged for removal. The items left were dumped outside and certainly were not there throughout your time on site and must have been placed there by one or more of you. This was accompanied by photographs of even more stuff that other guardians had left in the property, furniture, etc. But I wasn't going to be responsible for any of their stuff. This guy thought he could bully us out of our money because we didn't have a legal tenancy and were therefore not covered by UK laws protecting tenants. I wasn't going down without a fight. We may not be covered by tenants' rights, so everything would fall back to basic contract law. I found the interesting parts of the occupation license agreement that I had with the Guardian company. Damage security payment means the amount payable by the Guardian to cover the cost of any damages caused by the Guardian, but not anybody else. And since this contract is between myself and the Guardian company with no jointly and severally liable clause, I can't be held responsible for anyone else's mess. Great, but there's more. This one is interesting. 3.1. The Guardian company provides services to property owners to, among other benefits, secure premises against trespassers and protect such premises from damage. The Guardian company has agreed to provide such services to the owner in respect of their property. So we don't provide security. That's the responsibility of the Guardian company, which we're not a part of. But wait, there's more. The Guardian will, 10.1.10, not remove anything from the property other than things she/he brought there. Boom! Gotcha. I fired back an email. Please see section 3.1 of the license agreement signed by myself and the Guardian company owner. It stipulates that you, the Guardian company, provide security, not us, the Guardians. Please also see section 10.1.10. Given that I did not bring either the car or the furniture onto the property, it would in fact be a breach of your own license agreement for me to remove it. In this case, I will be complying with your contract and thus will not remove the items that I did not bring onto the property. Please return my security deposit within 3 working days or I will be forced to take legal action. Their response: at this point, we are happy to see you in court, and please do not contact us unless via your solicitor, as we will be charging for our time to deal with such matters. If you can demonstrate who is responsible for leaving the items for us to deal with, we will look at this. But as stated previously, these items were not there previously and have dumped them outside. All of you failed to report the car. Sounds like he was a little shaken up and probably hoped I was bluffing. Unfortunately for him, I wasn't. I filed the court papers after 3 working days. He caved as soon as he received the court papers and realized that I wasn't bluffing. He repaid our deposits along with my court fees the very next day. Victory. Be honest, guys, would you have the gusto to take this all the way to court? Or would you have just kind of let the security deposit go? Let me know in the comments down below. Our next story is by MisterJStacy, Double Malicious Compliance. This happens more often than not, but this one stuck out. So I work at a casino and it happened about a year ago. We have kiosks for the guests so they can print their promotions and see what they have available. I'm normally the one on my shift to make sure they don't run out of paper and running smoothly. One day I get called to put a new roll of paper in a kiosk. As I'm making my way to the kiosk, I notice a guest on it about to print out something and this happened. Hold on, ma'am, that kiosk is out of paper.
No, it's not. I just saw someone use it.
Ma'am, it is. That guest came to us and told us it was empty.
Well, I'm almost done. You can wait a little longer.
If you try to print, she cuts me off.
I'm almost done. Just stand there and wait.
Malicious compliance activated. Yes, ma'am. I stand there and watch her print out at least 5 different promos and none came out. Then she looks at me.
Why didn't anything come out?
Because it's empty, like I tried to tell you.
Why didn't you tell me?
Seriously? I tried to, but you told me to stand there.
Well, what am I gonna do now? I don't have my tickets.
Well, you're gonna have to go wait in another line to get them reprinted.
Why do I have to wait in that line?
That's where my supervisor is, and they're the only ones who can reprint them.
I shouldn't have to. This shouldn't have happened.
It wouldn't if you had let me put a new roll in it.
Well, go ahead and do it so I can print them out again.
It won't work again. You'll have to. Cuts me off again.
I don't want to wait in that line. Change the paper so I can get my stuff.
Malicious compliance activated again. Yes, ma'am. I change the paper, but I take my time doing so.
Can you hurry up?
I'm making sure it's feeding okay.
Ugh.
Once I changed the paper and closed the kiosk, she pretty much pushed me out of the way and tried again.
It's not on here anymore.
I know, you have to get them reprinted by a supervisor.
Oh my god, forget it. I'm leaving.
Me, with the biggest guest service smile. I'm sorry to hear that. Hope you have a good day. Dumb lady flips me the bird and leaves. So, that was fun. The guests waiting for the kiosk and I definitely had a good laugh. In one ear and out the other. Honestly, this exchange probably saved the lady a good amount of cash considering how they were handling a paper kiosk. The next story is by endlessghost, small but very petty against local government. My partner and I moved into our local city, a small city, not much bigger than a town, last year and have had a blast. The only thing that's annoyed us are the bin men. They come really early and wake us up. I'm talking 6 a.m. onwards. And we've even caught them witching about us while collecting our waste/recycling. We have a lot of recycling, especially in lockdown. Anyway, we got a letter a few days ago telling us we need to start putting the bins out before they collect them on the day before 7 a.m. when they start collection instead of the night before. They also said a load of other stuff about it. Being a petty witch, I sent them a strongly worded email countering every single one of their points and saying you can't enforce a rule for us and not the whole street. Well, this morning I just so happened to wake up at 6:30 a.m. and realized we hadn't put the bins out, nor had they come yet. Perfect. I quickly did the bins and shoved them out onto the pavement at around 6:45. The bin men came at 6:50 and grabbed it. I took pictures of the entire thing and made sure to send a follow-up email saying how I work for the NHS and they've woken me up on my only day off after working all week. An exaggerated truth, but not a lie. And here's proof of them coming before 7, and I want you to put in an official complaint. We got an email back saying to ignore the letter. Stupid, petty, but got results. Sometimes the stupid, petty route is the way to go. If you gotta get results, sometimes the stupid, petty route is how you achieve them. And our final story of the day is by It's Fish 20, build loads exactly as the tender states. You got it, boss. I work for a logistics company that deals with a ton of building material shipping. We work with some not so great companies who love to send us over tenders that are totally wrong. As an example, the subject of the tender email would be New York City to LA, but the actual tender would read New York City to Orlando. I would usually point this out in an email response that CC'd my boss and his bosses, but I guess that was pissing off the higher-ups in my company, so they responded to build them the exact way the tender reads. I did just what they asked, and for the last week, I have been building wrong loads that no one seemed to realize were wrong. Just a few minutes ago, poop hit the fan. A ton of these deliveries were sent to the wrong place, and some states away from where they should have been sent. I knew this was coming and had already printed out all the emails I had from last week just to cover my butt. I was basically screamed at for building the wrong loads and costing the company thousands of dollars in truck order not used payments. I had a huge poop-eating grin on my face the whole time, and when I was asked to explain myself, I just slid my email printouts forward and said I was just following boss's orders. The looks on their faces when they realized they were the ones that messed up was priceless. And I honestly wish I took a pic to enjoy that for the rest of my life. They sent me back to my desk and are now in the conference room screaming on the phone with a company that has been sending over wrong info. Edit. So to just go over a few things, when I was trained to do this, I was told to follow the subject as the shipper/destination, as that has to be manually entered in by the person who we get these loads from. I would always reach out when the subject and tender did not match up, and upper management got sick of the constant emails and told me to just follow the tender. I have a folder of these emails that I have recently saved offline and backed up on a flash drive just in case. So I kind of get the sense from this company that this isn't the kind of place where you can argue your point. You kind of just have to accept what the boss says and go with it, or else you're going to have not a very great time at this employment. But in the end, they got exactly what they were asking for. It was their fault they didn't have the foresight. But besides that, if you enjoyed the video, please consider giving it a like and subscribe and turn notifications on if you haven't. All of those things help the channel out so incredibly much. So no matter what you did, whether it was commenting, liking, subscribing, thank you all so very much for supporting me right here on the Storytime channel. That said, I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you all next time right here.